For the past 5 months, on the oldest anarchy server in Minecraft, there has been an escalating conflict taking place, not on the ground, but in the skies. Two rival groups, notorious for their massive obsidian structures, have been at war. They've been attempting to one-up each other by building some of the most absurd and ridiculous creations the server has ever seen. On top of that, back-and-forth sabotage attempts have turned what should have been a competition into an all-out conflict, complete with destruction, direct combat, toxicity, and profanity-filled rants. It's a story so bizarre that it could only happen on 2b2t. So today, we'll be discussing the conflict, nicknamed the Obsidian War, that has taken place over the past 5 months. We'll discuss how it started, the madness that has taken place, and perhaps today will serve as a lesson about why taking a block game this seriously can be bad for your health and well-being. Things are going to get crazy. While it's impossible to keep these obsidian structures completely safe, you can be safe online by using Dashlane. Dashlane gives you everything to easily manage your passwords and keep them secure. With Dashlane, logging into a website is as easy as clicking login and letting autofill do the rest. It works with addresses and credit cards to make your online shopping seamless and easy. Dashlane works on multiple devices, so if you need to log into an account on your phone, tablet, or desktop, you'll always have access to your passwords and account info. On top of all that, Dashlane also has a VPN, which stops your ISP from tracking your web activity and allows you to watch shows and movies that are unavailable in your country. If you find this as helpful as I do, you can try Dashlane for free on your first device at dashlane.com/FitMC. And if you decide to upgrade to premium, you can use my code FitMC for 10% off. Now then, let's get started. So when did this conflict start? Well, over the past year, there were 2 major obsidian builds created in the skies above 2b2t. First, a giant OWU was created by a group named the Watchmen. This large text consisted of 1.8 million blocks. Not too long after, a giant portrait of VTuber Usada Pekara was made by a group called the Japanese Army. Their build was 2.1 million blocks, making it slightly larger than the OWU. Needless to say, the Watchmen were upset that their project had been beaten. Not wanting their thunder stolen, the leader of the Watchmen, a player named Beast Machine, instantly began planning a new obsidian build, one that would be even larger than the one built by the Japanese army. He informed the group that they would be attempting to build a giant portrait of musician Rick Astley from the infamous Rickroll meme. A basic schematic was made, and the build was going to require 6 million obsidian, making it around 3 times larger than their previous build. An ambitious project to say the least, but the group made a fatal mistake. They publicly announced their plans to build the giant Rick. On anarchy servers, announcing projects before construction begins is an easy way to have them griefed instantly. After hearing of the Watchmen's plans, one of the leaders of the Japanese army, a player named City Boss, reached out to the Watchmen. He informed them that their Rick Astley idea had already been taken. It turned out that a smaller group had already begun constructing a giant obsidian QR code. When completed, this code was going to lead directly to a Rickroll video. Upon hearing the news, the Watchmen felt that this was all a ruse, and that the Japanese army were actually taunting them, which made them lash out with anger. They claimed that their giant Rick was going to be a success, and the community could do nothing to stop them. Feeling disrespected, City Boss put a plan into motion. He began contacting all known enemies of the Watchmen and uniting them under one banner. They would call themselves the Air Destroyers, with their logo being a troll face on the side of a blimp. Very appropriate. The group members consisted of a list of some well-known scouts, PvPers, and overall well-rounded players. Together, this new group would attempt to stop the giant Rick from being built. In late April of 2021, construction officially began, so the Air Destroyers put their plan into motion. Since most of the Watchmen obtained their obsidian from factories where duplicated ender chests were mined by hand, these were targeted first. The air destroyers bombed these factories and killed every Watchman working on the site. From there, they would attack the builders at the giant rick. These constant attacks against the Watchmen brought the construction progress to a halt. After a few weeks, only 150,000 out of the 6 million obsidian had been placed, an absolute snail's pace. The Watchmen were losing steam. Members wanted to quit, but Beast Machine forced them to continue the project. In his eyes, they had to beat the Usada Pekora. It was sitting in the skies above the server, taunting them. This strife caused some of their members to either quit or switch sides. Running out of obsidian, they had no choice but to purchase shulkers from item shops for real-world money. One of the largest shop owners on the entire server, REDSTONER, was actually friends with the air destroyers. He would refuse to sell any obsidian to the Watchmen, and using his connections in the merchant community, would get them blacklisted from every major shop. The Watchmen were out of obsidian and unable to purchase more. Realizing that the project had failed, Beast Machine, in his anger, wrote a profanity-filled rant cursing the air destroyers. After this, he disbanded his entire group and the project was ended. Now, you would think that this is where the story ends, but it's nicknamed the Obsidian War for a reason. The air destroyers weren't finished yet. They took the time to ensure that all the other obsidian build projects going on at the time were either destroyed or halted, including the QR code that would have led to a rickroll. It appeared as if they had finally achieved victory, but little did they know that the real conflict was about to begin. After a few months had passed, several shop owners noticed something very strange. Ex-members of the Watchmen had been asking to buy massive amounts of obsidian. This information quickly made its way to the air destroyers, and they were very confused. If the Watchmen no longer existed and the giant rick project had been stopped, why were ex-members trying to buy so much obsidian? They soon discovered that a group had been formed in secret to continue working on the rick project without the oppressive Beast Machine as their leader. This group had learned from their past mistakes and did not announce to anyone what their intentions were. This meant that they had already been working on the project quietly for some time now. After managing to scout their location, the air destroyers learned that over 1.5 million obsidian had already been placed. The top portion of the giant rick was almost complete. Even using griefing exploits, it would be impossible to undo all of that construction so quickly. At this point, City Boss came up with an amazing idea. What if instead of griefing the structure, they took control of it instead? Since half of the Rick Astley head was already complete, they planned to remove the entire face, replacing it instead with that of the late Russian singer Edward Keel, who many years ago had become an internet meme related to trolling. It was genius, and they would give their operation a name: Project Rick Trolled. So the air destroyers began removing Rick Astley's face. Wow, out of context, that sounds really weird. But anyway, they would use an exploit called Packet Fly to lead withers around the structure, allowing for quick removal of the obsidian. After a few days, they had successfully removed the face area, giving them a blank canvas to start on Edwards. In addition, some members of the Japanese army, working alongside the air destroyers, built a massive troll face near the top part of Edward's head, turning this Obsidian War into a true spectacle. The ex-members of the Watchmen once again had run out of obsidian and did not have the resources to fight off their opponents. They were still being blacklisted from all of the server shops, so their situation was looking more dire than ever. Finally, after almost 5 months, they officially threw in the towel. The Obsidian War, which had been started over a simple argument, was now over. The air destroyers had proved that sometimes it's not about winning, but making sure the opponent loses. Beast Machine had been so persistent on having his group come out on top that he became emotionally compromised at their failure. The lesson to be learned here is that if you take this block game too seriously, you're going to get trolled, especially on a server like 2b2t. Well, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to leave a like and hit that subscribe button. Also follow my socials, so take it easy, Fit Fam, and we'll see you next time.